Hello and welcome to the UK Surf Show. We are your hosts. I'm Pete.
And I'm Mitch, and on today's episode, we ain't got nobody. There's loads of stuff going
no
down.
Friends.
Nobody wants to speak to us, so we've had to come up with new ideas. No, this is what we've been speaking about for a while. This is kind of part of the new format, but this is a bit of a trial run, which we've really not prepped for at all.
Well, you've been on holiday for, however long you were on holiday for.
Wasn't long.
No, like a day. And,
Yeah.
it's a good excuse though, isn't it? So you've been on holiday for a while, and it's, as I always say, this time of year, work is just mental busy for me. So it's really difficult to sort of get everything in order as well as getting all my work done as well. Because, longer days, longer hours, painting the world a different colour and all that. So
as long as we have the excuses up front,
yeah,
then we're good to... We're good to go. This is a trial.
It's like the ones you got set when you go surfing, why you're not catching that wave, or why you didn't get that barrel, or why you didn't make that top turn.
Yeah, so we've got a few features that we're going to run through. A lot of them actually involved listeners, but we didn't get... So, for example, one of the features is our surfing class hero, and that's that sort of local hero we've spoken about before, the likes of Swanee. That sort of person where just everyone in that area just knows the guy. You might not even know him by name. He's just somebody you know to talk to, and you know he's a bit of a local legend. So whilst we got loads of names, the thing we didn't get was any information about the people.
Yeah. It's no good just sending us a name. We actually need some information about why they are the surfing class heroes. So I'll do it on the Instagram again for next time we do this, and I'll put it up before, or email us, the uksurfshow@gmail.com, and send us your surfing class hero, who it is and why they deserve a shout out, what they do for the community, a little bit of their background, if they've had a really hard time but surfing seen them through or whatever, anything like that, just send it away and we'll read them out on the show.
Exactly. So let's kick it off with probably the most obvious thing that's been happening in surfing, the Olympics.
Oh,
Pete,
I thought you were going to say the flat
Pete,
spell.
the flat spell. Actually, that is the most obvious thing. We'll come back to that. Pete, have you been watching the Olympics?
Anyway, thanks for listening, and
let's talk about that flat spell.
Let's talk about flat. I haven't watched. Do you know what? I was in a shop the other day, and they had the Olympics on, and that is all I've seen of it. They had the skateboarding on, and it was irritating the piss out of me because the people were saying, "Oh, I hope we see Tony Hawks," as in that's not his name. People that say Tony Hawks drive me mad. It's Tony Hawk.
Why would you say that publicly? Because you're now going to have a DM full of things saying Hawks.
Oh, it's just drives my head in. It's because it was Tony Hawk's skateboarding, the game. Okay. So people think his name is Tony Hawks, but it's like his skateboard. Don't get me started.
Right, okay.
So what I saw skateboarding.
What I'm not going to do is talk about who's won what for a couple of reasons. One, I don't want to give any spoilers to people who haven't quite got to the end yet. And two, I'm only on round 2. So because I've been away, actually the night before me and Special K went to Portugal for like 5 days, or 6 nights, whatever it was. And the night before was the night the surfing in the Olympics was on. So I'm like, here we go. And to be honest, I'm not normally one for the Olympics. I think I've said this before, and no disrespect to any athletes, but these guys and girls win gold, during the week, and then the Monday later they're back at work in Greg's.
Yeah, no, I know.
I don't feel like they get the same recognition as other athletes. So I've never been massively into the Olympics. But obviously, this is a second iteration with surfing being included. So I was actually really keen to watch this. So there I am, having never watched the Olympics properly before. I'm aware there's a red button on BBC. I'm told the start time of surfing. So I've got the telly on in the background. Here we go, and it's playing I don't even know what sport was on. It was playing like dressage or something. And I'm like, red button, other options for other sports. I don't seem to see any surfing. And then, about an hour later, Googling all sorts of things. It turns out it's easier to go compete on the QS to then get a space in the Challenger Series, to then get a space on the CT, to then qualify for the Olympics, then go compete at the Olympics, watch it while you're doing it, as opposed to finding how the fuck you watch surfing on BBC. It's really, really frustrated me. And then I was away for like the week, so I wasn't able to watch it. And I come back and I'm like, right, I'm going to get it all on catch up. There's nothing on YouTube. It's like they are more stringent, I'm guessing. There must be like a panel of people just making sure anything gets removed straight away from the likes of YouTube and whatever. They're more stringent. Remember the Asda bag scandal? The plastic bag scandal, remember, I was talking about before. And the guy walks around with the bags, they're not just there to take. They're more stringent than that. So I'm thinking, like, because that's how I watch CT events. I'm normally watching it on catch-up, on the replay experience. And I'm thinking that's how it's going to go. And there was nothing. And I actually got so annoyed with it. And it turned out the only way to watch it was on, I want to say it was Disney Plus. It was one of them or Discovery Plus, sorry, I think it was. So you had to go buy another subscription to another channel where there's only ever one thing you want to watch in a year. And in fairness, it's not expensive, right? They're doing a discounted price for the Olympics. It's $3.99, which is cool. So I get to watch it all. It's on as one big block, 6-hour thing. There's no like skip to heat 2 sort of sketch. But I'm just like, it's so frustrating. And it's the same with like, I think all sports channels on Sky. I remember getting Sky as a kid, and there was Sky Sports 1, Sky Sports 2, and Eurosports. Yeah. And that was it. And if the sports weren't on the terrestrial channels, they were on one of them. Now it seems there's not only a channel for every sport, there's a channel for every game, for every team. And it's like, come on, like this is many subscriptions do I need?
Doesn't it? Like the subscription thing does my head in, especially with like now, so like I don't know, Disney, Netflix, or whatever. That you pay a subscription, and now they've started putting adverts on it as well. So if you want to get rid of the adverts, you've got to pay more to get. It's just subscription things drive me mad. I don't have any subscriptions now at all, but I am on someone's subscription because they're like, sign it in for you, and I was like, cheers then.
You obviously excluded your OnlyFans subscriptions, which I know you pay a fortune for every month.
Well, that's why I haven't got time for surfing, isn't it? You know, too many OnlyFans to catch up on.
So I've watched the entirety of round 1. Actually, so obviously, if you don't know, I say obviously, not obvious. It's been held in Tahiti, and Chopu, as I've always thought it was called, Chopu in Tahiti. And by the way, what a stunning backdrop. Like, it is insane. So cool. But I don't think I've ever heard a professional commentator or surfer use the same word for the name twice. The thing I now keep
always thought
hearing
it was chofu.
Tiahuhupu. And I'm like, what? Which one is it? I thought it was Chopu, not Tiahuhupu.
I thought it was chofu.
Chofu.
Yeah.
So that's been frustrating. But yeah, the venue has been insane. The waves have been good so far. I know they get better because I think probably by now everyone's seen the Medina photo, which I think is class. I don't know what you think about it. Like, but I don't know. I think it was a kick out. So I don't think he'd completed a wave. I think it was just a kick out. I'm not sure. I've not got to it yet. But like, that photo is amazing. How can anyone say it's not? Like, there's been so much divide over this photo.
The amount of photoshops I've seen of people who put different things onto that, it's been absolutely incredible.
I've seen him in in the audience at gigs doing the finger up and all that stuff. I've seen, it's been pretty cool. Yeah. But I wanted to speak about John because I'm honestly, I know he's an incredible surfer and he's phenomenal. And he's had a bit of a hard time of it in sort of recent years with injuries, and he's been a bit plagued. But he's never a name. You know, when I'm sitting watching heats and I see who's coming up next and it says John, I'm never like, oh, yes, can't wait to see it. Even though I know he's insane. It's not like when I see your Italos and Medinas and people like that and Griffin, Colapinto, where I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And I don't know what it is with John for me for that. But I saw him. He literally... And it was round 1 heat, and within the opening minute, he had caught 2 waves straight away. So he took the first wave, and on his way back out, he caught a second wave before any of the other competitors had even looked at a wave. And both of them, he scored, it was a 6.33 and it was a 6 or a high 5 on the second wave, like on the way back out. And there was, but that part of me for that moment was like, there is, like, this guy is the real deal. Not that I was ever suggesting he's not, and that my opinion counts for what a real good surfer is, obviously.
He's going to be listening to this now going, Mitch doesn't think.
Oh, God damn it. But, I mean, it does, it just kind of highlighted, and again, it's something I've spoke about before, like, good surfers, it's not just about their ability to be able to surf, it's the way they can read the ocean, unlike anyone else. And, well, you say John's well experienced at that venue. Those other surfers that are more experienced and know the lineup and have their markers much better than he does. But it just really highlighted that level of, this is the one, this is the wave. And
do you know what? That makes me wonder, right? So obviously, the more time you spend in the ocean, the more you get to know it, the more you get to get better at reading it, get better at, all your different things. I wonder what that tipping point is, because, you get good and then you get sponsored. There's got to be that bit when you get sponsored, like, so you're getting a decent sponsorship so you could maybe live off that it flips to, like, like, I'd say your time in the ocean before is, I don't know, 40% or something like that, because you've got to go to work and do other stuff unless you're a Grom or what have you. There's got to be that bit as soon as you're focused full time where it flips and, like, everything, like, double clicks together. Do you know what I mean? Like it goes hyper. It's where it's like, you just know everything that's going on all the time, and you know what's going to happen. And do you know what I'm trying to say there?
It's that thing. It's a bit like, for us of us that, are able to maybe every now and again do a 1 or a 2 week surf trip somewhere. Like, your ability goes up so quick. You also
not
lose
on our
it.
Fucking trips.
No,
get the fucking surf.
But it's relative, isn't it, to your own ability, and you lose it just as quick. But you become so connected to you're in all the time, and I think you just naturally do things better without realizing it. And if this is your full-time job as well as your passion, then it's probably not that difficult to get to maybe not that kind of level, but to be super connected and have that good understanding. Like, I like to think I can read waves really well, and it's something you've pointed out before. I can't remember, we were chatting with Logan about, actually, when we surfed with me, you, Logan, and Mike surfed.
Yeah.
And you were talking about Logan's positioning as if he knew where he had to be more than I knew where I had to be. Yeah. And I remember the conversation, but I don't think I verbalized it that well. And weirdly, I was thinking about this the other day. And it wasn't a case, I'm sure Logan can read waves much better than me, but the back to the point of, it's relevant to me. So I know I couldn't take off where he's taken off because I'm a pop-up. So I have to take off a little bit deeper and maybe a little bit further along the line.
No, I don't think that was it. It was the point I was making was, you were both in the same position for the wave, but his like the way he paddled for it looked effortless compared to like, so it was just it was like, I don't know, say you put me next to bloody Wayne Rooney or something like that, or David Beckham to take a free kick, you'd see the difference in how often they practice it to how often I practice it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And actually, you mentioned the point before, which on Olympics I completely forgot to. I made a note of it and I completely forgot. You talked about sponsorship, and as somebody that watches competitive surfing a lot, it was so odd to see all these big name surfers and the wildcards with no sponsors on their boards.
Yeah,
there's because there's no advertising, there's no nothing, there's none of it. Obviously, it's Olympics, so it was just, apart from I think they were still allowed to have the manufacturer of the board's name on it, and then a country flag, and even the commentators, they don't refer. It's not like, when you have the names at the top in the heat, it would say Medina and it would say whoever. It just says a country, because obviously it's a country competition. It was just really odd to see. And then when you listen to the commentators,
I literally no idea what you're talking about because I never watch it.
Yeah, that's a fair one. But you listen to the commentators as well, though, and even when it's like Bart and Lynch, the most excitable surfer commentator on the planet, like, that guy's an absolute legend, because they're obviously talking it down to an audience that have never watched surfing before. So there's an element of it, the commentary's a little bit dull, because they're playing it down like that. Whereas normally Barton Lynch is just
It's
making
a bit like our
excitable noises.
It's a bit like our podcast. It's a little bit dull sometimes.
It's a little bit dull sometimes. Feeling that right now. So let's move away from the Olympics. We done a very brief listeners' questions, and I'm not going to go through all the hundreds of questions we've got, but we've got a few, and I thought, let's go for that. So let's start off. Swanee, single fin. We had him on the show before. Actually, straight back into Olympics. I said we'd move away from it, and his questions about the Olympics. Why did the BBC ditch Olympic surfing? Locations, cost, popularity, thoughts. I mean, I think we've probably just spoke about that one to death anyway. I'm guessing there is a rights issue there, and they probably have a margin of expectation of what would be watched the most, and they've probably gone with the more mainstream sports, I suppose, like
do you know
equestrianism.
Last Olympics, they showed it, didn't they, the BBC? Because it was the first time it was in
Tokyo,
and it was shit because the waves were shit, the conditions were shit. It was just shitty, messy shit. So someone probably looked at that and went, well, that was shit last time. Not going, oh, this is where it's going to be held this time in a chofu poo, whatever it's called. and they've probably looked at that and gone, and now they're seeing it going, oh, so, I don't know, maybe on the BBC somewhere. As I say, I haven't really looked at it. I haven't even watched telly, really, so I haven't had time to, so...
No, I'm with you on that. I've not got any chance to watch TV at the minute. Right, moving on. Sam Hayes. Do you know Sam?
Do I?
Sam Hayes 9. I'm asking.
Do I?
All right, okay. Well, Sam has asked, with mass-produced shortboards being so cheap, do you think this damages local shapers?
Two parts, I think, to that. One, I don't think mass-produced shortboards are cheap. I still think they're bloody ridiculously expensive for what they are and how mass-produced they are. And I think the margins on them must be absolutely huge, like of what the companies make for what they're doing. I think, yes, it does damage local shapers because there's no way they can compete with that price of how cheap they're doing it for. If you class it as cheap, I still think it's bloody expensive. But if you look at a local shaper to how much time, effort, and everything they're putting into that, materials, what they've got to buy, the knowledge they know for if you've got a local shaper that you want to buy a board for surfing a certain beach or break wherever you are, they've got all that knowledge. I think yes, that does damage it, but I don't think you can go wrong going for a shaper.
Interesting.
What do you think?
No, I agree with your points. I think that we often hear this argument. If I maybe separate this argument away from it being local shapers and we talk about just supporting local, like shops and everything else, whilst I agree with the sentiment of that you should support local and all this, that and the other, but we're living in a time where it's so expensive to live that of course I'm going to go to Morrison's and buy 10 of whatever for much cheaper than I would on the local corner shop. That Morrison's is providing a ton of employment and everything else. So not entirely sure the argument's always... I don't always think it's the right conversation or it's posed the right way. And similar with shapers, whilst the principle I agree with, if your local shaper's shit, then I'm probably going to buy a mass-produced board for, I agree with you, not that cheap. Because I'm already aware of how it's going to perform based on reviews. But it's a huge topic, and actually maybe this is something we should get some shapers on to talk about that are better placed. I know when Firewire done that global sale, was it last year, the year before? And I think they've done a follow-up one.
Is that when you bought 47 boards?
When I bought a Firewire, yeah. But I know it affected not only shapers, but UK surfboard manufacturers and probably European surfboard manufacturers as well, because you just can't compete at that level. Danny Williams photo with an original question here. Best wave, worst wipeout. If you could only surf one spot, where? I don't know. Have you ever answered this?
I don't know if I have answered this, actually. I think I've spoke about them all. Do you know what? It's quite a difficult question when you put it on the spot and you haven't thought about it. Maybe we should prep people with this one in future.
Never.
I think I've said before, my best wave wasn't a best wave; it was a best session. I don't know; it's difficult to say.
Oh, you have? We spoke about that
so,
with True North, I think,
yeah.
on one of the recent
So
episodes.
my best session was in Devon, and that was with a load of mates. But also, I think it's the same beach that my best wave's been at as well. It wasn't the best wave I've ever had, as in. No, I think that session was best wave as well. That session I had, it was me, Leighton, my friend Ollie, and Stu, and I think there's 4. There might have been someone else. Friend Seb as well, I think might have been there. 4 or 5 of us anyway, and it was just continuous. And we found this little sandbar, and it was just on the wave. You got like 2 turns in the wave, down it, and you were off the side, and then back round, just paddle back round, and you were back on it. There was no smashing through anything. There was no duck diving.
Right.
There was no trying to do anything. It was just like round in a circle, and that lasted for about maybe an hour or so, something like that, maybe a bit longer, I can't remember. But they were like perfect. You know, when it's sort of that, I'd say they're sort of chest high, because you're crouched on your board, and the top of the wave's in line with your head as you crouch down.
Yeah, right.
And you can just see that it's starting to do that curl, whereas if it was a bit more, it would be like barreling over you, but it's starting to do that curl as it's like next to you, and you're like just in front of it. So it's like that was the perfect wave session. They were my best, I think, those ones. Worst, I would have said, up until recently, one of my worst wipeouts has always been the Devil's Playground, which is Putsborough, because I hate the place. It's always awful.
It's funny you hate it. I love Putsborough. It's my favourite Devon spot.
I always have bad surfs there, but I would have said that. But up until recently, honestly, I don't think I said how bad like that one in the northeast was when we were up there, because
when you done the worm?
Yeah, it was
the
like
worm.
Like my body hurt in places it never hurt before. After that, it's the way it sort of slammed me to the floor, but like the wave broke on me. But you know when the wave breaks and it hits the ocean floor, and then it like churns like that.
Yeah, oscillates.
So that rolling churn, it did that like down my body, like I was getting a massage off the wave. But it was so violent that it actually made me do like, if you don't know what I'm on about, just Google the worm dance move, and it's literally my body did like, I don't know, and it hurt.
And it was really heavy, because I remember I said I done a duck dove, just a really bad timing. I was literally in the impact zone, and I tried to duck dive it as it was breaking on my head, and it actually cracked 2 bones in my neck. Yeah. Like chiropractic, it gave me what would you call it, an adjustment, and I was like, I've unlocked the key here. But it was mega heavy, proper shore dump as well.
And I don't think, because I just was like, we were talking to other people, so it wasn't about me or anything. I was just like, that was, it just happened, but it fucking hurt. So it was pretty nasty. I mean, with regards, I said before, like the drowning side of it, I just sort of give up. So whatever. And I know you've made it into, Pete just gives up, like you just that. But I give up, as in just I'm like just go with it, just let it happen, give up, relax.
Help me.
Help me. Yeah. Goodbye, cruel world.
All right. Okay. Well. I mean, what
was the last part of that question on there as well?
If you only surf one spot, where?
Yeah, I'm not saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't say either. I wouldn't answer that last bit. So
I'm not saying.
Okay. Right, let's move on.
How about this for a question?
What?
If you had a photograph taken of you, right?
All right, okay. I know.
Because I remembered it. I remembered it because you said I was going to forget. This is the one we was going to add in for you.
No. You shouldn't say it. No, because if we don't want other people using this before we go and do the next edition of the show.
On the Devon trip, then this new question will come in. So yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
What about yours, best wave, and what's about yours, best wave and worst wipeout?
I mean, worst wipeout hasn't changed. It was still the 2 or 3 wave hold down up in the Outer Hebrides when I just started surfing. I kind of just had started surfing. Went up there with army surfing, and we'd figured out, and I'm talking face height of the wave, it was 13 foot. And for all these people going, oh my God, you're saying it was 70 foot. Fuck off. I didn't say that. I just said face, wave, face, height. Okay,
Yeah.
let's be clear on that. And that's the thing, actually. We've introduced this new question, which I hope everyone's been loving, people just politically answering this, surfer 6 foot, how big's the wave, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, when people are saying, when you specifically say, what is the size of the face of the wave, then you can't give me the Hawaiian scale because I'm asking you what the size of the wave face is. So grow up. That's what I'm saying. So just agree with me. It was 13-foot wave face height, and I should have been nowhere near it. I shouldn't have been anywhere near half of that.
How long had you been surfing then? Please don't say a week.
Nah,
First trip.
I'd maybe started surfing 2 years before it, but I was still like surfing once every couple of months and stuff like that. I just passed my surf coach course and I scraped through that. So I guess I had that air of I'm all over this. I'm a coach.
I'm a coach now. I know what I'm doing.
Where's Kelly? I'm coming for his spot. And I remember we all paddled out, a lot of army surfers and that, I've said before, that one-upmanship. And I think you could see it on almost everyone's face. Like, it was just terrifying. It was super clean though. It was an amazing spot. And this wave came at me. And I knew I was the one in the spot for it, but I was trying to make eye contact with no one or the wave because I didn't want anyone to know that I knew it was there. But people were like, Mitch. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to go. And I'd remembered like a swell line passing under me before that and thinking, oh my God, I've never experienced anything like that. And it was just a pulse, it wasn't even close to a breaking wave. So like I'd done the classic, which I obviously now know is the worst possible thing to do. I made it look like I was paddling really hard, but really, I think my arms were pulling, but my hands were pushing the water away.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I was sort of semi-committed to it, and I got to my feet, and it was a sheer drop. Don't know how I got to my feet, but I got to my feet, I guess, through sheer panic and being scared. Yeah. And then I just stacked it completely. I don't even think I've been on a wave that steep to date since then. And I've just pencil dived straight in. Thankfully I went straight in, and it was obviously quite deep as well. I think that, what did he say, a wave breaks in half its own depth of the size of the wave. So it was pretty deep water. I got pushed to the floor and I was like, just stay calm, and I could feel myself getting dragged along with it, and I'd never felt that kind of weight or that power in an oscillating wave underneath. And I'm just like, stay calm. And I was being calm. And, about, 9 minutes have passed now in my head. It's probably been like 4 seconds. You know how it is. It feels like forever, doesn't it? Yeah. And it let me go and it released me. So sort of scratching back up to the surface, and I just feel, bang, another almighty wave. There's obviously one right behind it. And my head is pinned to the seabed and it's just dragging me along. My board's tombstoning, like I can feel it pulling me, like starfishing me. Like I felt like the god of the ocean was trying to enter me or something. It was just horrendous. And I remember that was the point I stopped being calm and I was just trying my best to get back up. And it eventually released me, and I'm sort of swimming for the surface. I'm not one of them people that open their eyes under salt water. I don't know why, I just can't do it. Even though the water up there is the clearest water you've ever seen. And I'm paddling and I'm like, I couldn't get to the top. And I genuinely remember thinking in my head, like, one more second, I'm taking a breath. Like I'm going to have to accept it and take a breath underwater. And thankfully at that I surfaced and I done that whole, sort of taking a big breath. And honestly, where I surfaced, one of the blokes, a guy called Inky Lawson, was just sat right there on his board and just sort of looked at me. And he obviously see the panic in my face and went, wondered where you went, you dick. Genuinely, I had to get out the water and just go sit on the beach. And I've sat on the beach for ages just trying to get a grip of myself. And it was only that I saw this other guy, this other dude, had an even bigger wipeout than me, but because I've now get to see it and I've just experienced it POV style myself, and I saw it happen to him. His was even bigger. It was even worse, and I was just pissing myself laughing. I was like, all right, I'll get back in. So that it was brutal, and it honestly though, it shook me up. Like I take no bother in saying that. It shook me up. And when I have even a slight hold down now, it takes me back to that immediate place. And I think probably all surfers have that one memory, perhaps, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's like when we were walking along Kirkcaldy seafront and that car backfired and you threw me down on the floor. Get out!
Yeah, that does get me.
It didn't happen, but it's yeah.
Well, no, that does. Okay, so I'm going to do one more question.
Go on then.
So from Meridius 32, wow. If you were a cheese, what would you be? Why have you froze?
No. I don't know what I'd be if I was a cheese. I don't know.
You'd definitely be some sort of mouldy shit, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Some crusty, mouldy,
I'd be halloumi.
old.
I'd be halloumi.
Halloumi.
Squeaky ass time. That squeak it makes on your teeth when you bite it.
Rubbery. I like a halloumi. What would I be? I like proper cheese. Like, I think I like to think of myself as a bit of a cheese connoisseur. And when I say proper cheese, I think proper cheese is defined, or the name dictates the shape, tells you what it is. So like a cheese triangle, a cheese slice,
you like fucking Dairy
string. I love Dairy cheese. So I reckon I'd just be one of them. Like, you know what you're going to get. Sometimes you're like, oh, that was awesome. And other times you're like, nah. Take it or leave it. So, there you go. Some questions. So, send us in your questions and we'll do more. It'd be nice to answer some technical stuff, and we'll go away to the brands and we'll ask these questions and poorly attempt to give our opinions of it.
Do you know what else is? Well, it'd be finishing today as this comes out, or it would have finished by now when this comes out.
Boardmasters.
Boardmasters is a song.
Pick up a penguin.
Do you know what? I've seen a lot of photos from down there, and it's looked like it's been some really good surfs and really good people competing and stuff down there.
It's looked like the weather's been horrendous as well. I saw Tom Brooks, who we had on the show recently, obviously a surf commentator. Tom Anderson, sorry, Tom Brooks. What am I on about? Tom Anderson.
I was thinking, who the hell are you talking about then?
I don't know where I got Brooks from. Maybe I was thinking Book. I don't know. But he was they're in a judges' tower, which is the RNLI hut on Fistral, and it's so rainy. They're just constantly out the front with a squeegee. Cleaning the sort of hazy, salty seawater off it. But it was quite funny because he posted a story today and it was him doing it. And like the technique was honestly horrendous. Like, I'm not a window cleaner, but I know using a squeegee, you kind of do almost like S's left to right. So you take all the water.
That delicate little finger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he posted a video of himself doing it. And then he posted a video of, I can't remember his name, sorry, the guy who was commentating with doing it. And he said in the post, amateur. And I was like, that's a solid 7.5 there. That technique is how it should be done. He knows what he's doing. But yeah, so Boardmasters. And I think when I looked today, Callie Cruikshank was through to, I'm going to say, the under-18s female final, which I'm absolutely buzzing about. I saw some of the heat draws, and, I don't want to call anyone out or anything, but there seemed to be a lot of jocks in the same heats, almost as if to try and get as many of them out as quickly as possible. No, I'm not putting any words.
That's a proper Scottish thing to say, that is. I tell you.
But it just seemed very Scottish heavy in some of the heat draws that I looked at. It's like, maybe
maybe that's because there's so many good surfers in Scotland now. There's so many in there, so they've got no choice. But
nice compliment from Pete there. It's not normally what you're saying about Scotland when we're not on, not recording.
I fucking love Scotland more than you, I think.
No, you love Tablet more than me.
Well, yeah, you're only Scottish when there's no Italian bonus from it. Anything else, you're like, no, I'm Italian.
I'll give you that. So well done to everyone taking part and competing at Boardmasters. Can't wait to get down there next year. We'll definitely be doing something as part of Lost Shore for Shizzle. Don't want to half-arse it this year, to be honest. We've got enough to get on with. So, I hope it's gone as well as...
Speaking of Lost Shore, I seen you
No,
sent
you
me
didn't.
a video.
No, you didn't.
He did. He sent me a video of all the secrets of waveguard and everything of how it's made and how I can make it from myself in my own back garden. And they said they don't want you working for them anymore. They're going to give the job to me now.
All right, happy days. Well, I did. To be fair, I did send you something very exciting, but because I've not released that yet on our socials, I'm going to save that to talk about another time. But we did have a huge milestone happen at stupid o'clock yesterday morning. Thanks to everyone for making me wake up. Hence the sarcastic video I made and sent to you.
do you know? As I started to talk about it, I did realise that. That's why I changed the subject to waveguarding technology. That's cool. So that's super exciting, and super exciting stuff happening. But that's all going to come soon. I wanted to talk a little bit about, and this is something I want to get from listeners again, about guilty pleasures of surfing. Like, what's things you like that maybe you shouldn't, or something you enjoy that you shouldn't in surfing? Is there something that springs to mind for you? I don't know, actually. That's quite a good question. We should have added that to the questions for guests. A guilty pleasure.
Well, I think I've definitely got one. I'm not sure how. It's not really a guilty pleasure. It's probably something everyone does, really. But it's, in fact, you've definitely experienced this with me many times, and we've spoke about it quite a bit in the show. It's every time.
In your wetsuit.
What? Whoa, no. It's I don't. Is it a guilty pleasure because people are so open about it? It doesn't seem like there's anything guilty about it. You're just a straight up tramp.
I piss in your wetsuit when you take them off.
Yeah, that's what the Salty Sapper said. No, but something I really love in surfing is, when that Rogue monster set comes and everybody starts bombing it out and you're the only one to make it over, and everyone else is getting pounded, but it's the look back, and it's the constant look back, not only while it's happening, but while they're all paddling back out after the carnage and the water hasn't quite settled, and you're still looking at them from the comfort of safety, as if to be like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, when it was just luck. Complete luck.
I thought you meant like guilty pleasures, like things in surfing, like that, or like accessories or something like that are your guilty pleasures.
No, it could be anything.
Yeah, I've got loads of those accessories. I've got all the accessories, all the gear, no idea. But I think guilty pleasure, like that sort of thing in this actual surf bit, is the complete opposite of like a super busy day at Saunton when the waves are really good and you're in the right spot. You get on the wave, and as you pop up, it's like people soup everywhere, and you've then got to manoeuvre in and out of them. And like you go in and out of people, especially on a longboard, and you can see the terror in their eyes. You're that close to them.
Yeah, that's a good one actually.
And just going past them, I'm just like woo woo.
See, the thing is,
makes you feel good and in control until you're not.
Until somebody loses an eye. Yeah. No. Do you know that one? That's a great one actually, because I agree. I've never really thought about that outwardly before, because I have the same thing. Sometimes when I'm taking off, and if there is that sort of people soup and speed bumps in the way, I'll just pull off if I'm not entirely feeling comfortable with my pop-up, because I don't want to hurt somebody. More so I don't want to damage my board. So I'll pull off. But on the times where you do commit and you make it to your feet, and you do have that glance and eye contact, and you see the terror in that person's eye, there is something really nice about either making it past them or not. But it was just that moment of
past them.
I'm in control here and you're in the wrong place.
Yeah,
that is quite a good one. I quite like. I also quite like when some people have a noise for letting people know you're there if they're about to drop in on you.
Yeah.
I quite like to do irrelevant, pointless, and hard to even hear noises that are so out of the ordinary. So like if somebody's dropping in a bit down the line, maybe I'll just meow really quietly. Meow. Like it's so like, this is so not what it's supposed to do, but I like that.
Yeah, no, I do tend to. I know you and Leighton, I've had you both in stitches with like ridiculous noises that come out of my mouth when I'm surfing, like whatever they be. Or I think even like when I was surfing with Zoe in Saunton before, I just started going a wop 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 like that or something like that. A wop 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 wop.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. Wop 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 or something like that. I can't even remember what the noise was, but every time she went for a wave, I was doing it to the point where she got pissed off because she was first of all laughing, and then it was that thing where you get in your head and you're like, now you can't do it because you think you can't do it, and it just builds and builds. So yeah, there was that one. Yeah, and I think
All right,
one to you of just like
there's another one of I was going to be tip of the day, but we're going to have tips of the day from you guys, the listeners. So if you've got tips that you'd like us to read out, whether it be, I don't know, putting a wetsuit on, classic sort of bin bag on your feet, that sort of thing, whatever it is you want. I've got the best thing I ever learned for surfing. It's not as relevant now because I don't really top rack my boards onto my car or my van. They just go inside. But when I was using a roof rack, was the one strap method. Single strap, and it doesn't matter how many boards you've got, it's more secure than using one on the back, one on the front. That was an amazing thing. So if you're somebody that does strap your boards on the roof and you use 2 straps, Google or YouTube the one strap method. But actually, I keep meaning to go and film one. I'm just going to film a wee video tutorial on that very thing, because I actually go up to people in car parks when I see them with 2 straps going, do you know, do you know the one strap method, do you? Yeah, I'm that guy. But it's such a helpful thing. When you hear it, you're like, oh, that's actually amazing. That's a game changer. And also, it's rapid. It's so quick. There's no faff. So that's a good one. Yeah. So give us a shout with your tips and we'll read them out.
Yeah, there's loads of them out there. There's loads of little tips. Do you know what? I still think one of the best things, like the amount of people that said to me about, like, I know dry robe thing, like, oh yeah, dry robe wanker, whatever, blah, blah. But the dry robe is the best thing, especially for the cold conditions in this country that you get most of the year round. I think in tip-wise, like...
Is that when you put your dry robe on underneath your wetsuit? Is that the one you're going to talk about that you do?
Oh, yeah. So when you get out your wetsuit, you're already in your dry robe.
And you got the dry robe slippers on.
Yeah. No, yeah, they're banging, they are. But like, I just think the amount of people, like, I've had conversations there with, like, do dry robes really make that much difference? Are they really that good? And I like, until you've tried one, not for walking the fucking dog in, but until you've tried one, like if I see people in the high street, oh my God, they try. If you're using the dry robe for the dry robe purpose, like after swimming, after open water swimming, as you like to say, Mitch, or cold water swimming, or, after like surfing or kayaking, canoeing, whatever water sport you're doing, like if you're using it after that, the advantage of it, to be able to chuck it on over your wetsuit and just take your wetsuit off inside it and not have that biting wind on you and stuff like that. And surfing in the winter, you say sometimes, which is... It's going to be sooner rather than later again now. I've come out of the water and, your hands are like claws and you can't even like open your hands or anything like that. It's so cold. And just to be able to get into that and do it, I think that's always one of my best tip things is get a dry robe. Yeah,
no, I definitely agree with that. Well, have you had any surf recently?
Anyway, thanks for listening.
Didn't you had a surf?
I've had... when did I go surfing? I did, but I can't remember when it was now. It was a few weeks back, I think. I can't. It seems that long. Honestly, there's so much stuff been going on. I can't even remember my last surf. But it was. Yeah. Where did I go? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah,
you did. You had a surf beat.
But I did. Yeah, I went surfing down in Devon and. Yeah, it was all right. It wasn't anything amazing, but it was all right. But since then, it's just been pretty much flat. There's been a couple of days here and there where it's more like if you're down there in the area, you scored lucky. There's a few decent waves, but every time I've looked at Lie-Line, it's like just says it's shit. And even then I look on the cameras afterwards and I'm like, well, it wasn't shit, was it? It was all right. I reckon they're in cahoots with Devon or something. And they're like, yeah, it's just shit all the time now. That's all they say.
It's genuinely been the worst summer for not only surf, for weather up here anyway, and surf I ever remember. Genuinely been brutal. I think when I came back
last year.
Nah, but this is much worse. No, but last year I said I felt like the surf gods forgot about us, and then winter they were like, oh my God, done their audit, and then they gave us loads. Yeah. But yeah, it's honestly, and it's killing me. So before I get on to that. Me and Special K went to Portugal last week and speak about the surfing there. There is something I want to talk about, and I've been sort of teasing you with this for quite a while, actually. As you know, I was down in South Wales, Devon and Cornwall a few weeks back with Lost Shore, just chatting to surf schools and selling the dream of surfing, but surfing in Scotland to surfers in UK.
Yeah,
what a thing
enough.
to do. It's quite a cool thing. So surfed, me and the Grand Kahuna, my work granddad, we surfed Putsborough, my favourite Devon spot, as we established. And what was I wearing? I was wearing a brand new 4-3 Seaskins wired, cozy as, and I was desperate for a piss. Desperate.
Did you piss in your wetsuit?
There was only me and Martin and one other dude in the water. Putsborough, as you know, it's quite a trek back to the car park. The beach wasn't busy, but it was busy enough to not be able to go and have a piss on the beach. Something I'd normally go do, find a quiet spot somewhere. And I could not hold on.
I feel like we should have dramatic music on this bit.
And I couldn't hold on any longer, Peter.
Yeah.
And I figured, if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it in a brand new wetsuit. Why not do it? Why do it in an old one? Do it in a brand new one.
So have you thrown that wetsuit away now?
Yeah. So I went for it. Instant regret, but I'd obviously opened the tap. And I remember saying to you that the water was so bloody warm, surprisingly warm. So I'm like, all right, what do I do now? This is howling. Because I could feel it. So I thought I'll flush. That's what I'll do, thinking the water's really warm. Turns out the water is really warm when you're in a 4-3 wetsuit. The second you pull that wetsuit away from your skin, it's instantly freezing. Yeah. So I'm now bobbing about in the water, like off my board, just tall, like I'm waiting to be rescued. And to be honest, that's how I felt that I should have been rescued. Yeah. And I've now got like a 1-inch layer between me and my wetsuit of cold water and hot piss. And I can feel the differences between the temperatures going round all of my body. And I couldn't do anything to get it out. My leash was too tight to let it out the bottom, and it just would not flush. And it was genuinely the worst thing I've ever done.
Can I make a comment there? Putsborough. That's all you had to say.
So I guess the real point I'm getting at here, for all the conversation about doing it, and people say, yeah, but you never do it, so how can you comment? I've now done it, and I can officially say, you're a tramp. Officially.
Do you know what,
never again.
You need to send all your wetsuits to like a custom wetsuit maker, mender, fixer, or like Dale, the wetsuit guy, and just get him to put like dick zips in all your wetsuits, so you can just unzip.
Because you'll get that little that fish thingy that swings up your urethra.
That's when you're going Amazonian jungle or something like that.
Do you want to take that risk? The waters are getting warmer. Right. Let's just finish on one last thing. I went to Portugal last week, Obrigada, and wasn't a surf trip, let's be clear. I didn't take boards, but I took a 3-2 shorty just in the off chance. So we got 2 days in the water. I got 2 days surfing. Stayed at Carviero, which was super nice. I googled the water temperature before we went, and it said the water temperature was 24. I've surfed in Portugal years ago, just before I had my drowning experience, actually, up north. And I remember thinking the water was really cold. Like, unsurprisingly, you just kind of assume it's warm because the country's so warm through the summer months. So, took a 3-2 shorty, got down to this beach, Praia de Amado, it's called. A beautiful, beautiful spot. Like, but man, I'll overlay the video now. But it was, you might have seen it on my stories.
You perfect.
Might not. Perfect. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we've got form for that. Pete always says, we'll overlay that now. And I'm like, yeah, cheers for that. So perfect beach bake barrels, like lefts and rights, A-frames, and the good guys making them look effortless. And I'm sort of thinking, these are stand-up barrels. I'm sort of thinking, I'm not going to get barreled. Like I'm not good enough to be doing that. But maybe I could take off down the line, and maybe I'll get a cover up. Maybe it'll just happen over me. Yeah. And then I'm looking at it, and it was probably 40 to 50 mile an hour straight offshore, and it was so shallow. It was probably knee deep, the water. Yeah. And I'm just like, it's just not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk. So I left it, came back the next day, rented a board. It was probably sort of chest to shoulder. And I was surprised how cool the water was, but it was a morning surf. So I definitely felt it. It was warmer than here, but I definitely felt it. And I was like, oh, have I made a mistake here? But then in the evening and afternoon sessions, it was absolutely fine. Definitely could have surfed in boardies. And I guess a few things came up. One was that because it didn't take a board and I had to go rent a board from a local surf shop, and thank you very much for helping out. Them guys are super cool. It was actually quite nice to not be on my own equipment and just go. They had NSP boards. That was their rental fleet, right? Which, for anyone that doesn't know, NSP boards at least used to be, in my memory, a bit like your Bics. That sort of thing, like that proper, that's your first mini mal. If it hits you on the head, you're dead. If it hits a truck, the truck's dead. Just solid, proper, solid equipment. And man, these things have come on since then a long way, because these boards were so much fun. But I think you end up with this connection of your board, and you end up in this false sense of ability, and you make all these excuses because of your equipment and whatever else. And you're not just like, here's something that allows me to surf, and here's me that's trying to surf. And that's what them boards done. I think the first day I took a bigger, I think I took a 6'4". It was a round tail, and it was just such a fun board. Like, it was really easy to throw it round and stuff. And I forgot how punchy the waves were there, even when it was smaller. So actually, when I was in on a smaller day, and I was like, holy shit, is it punchy? I was like, it was definitely a good idea not getting in yesterday when it was massive and barreling. So really fun surfs. Second day was bigger again. So I wanted to try a different board. It was another NSP, Little Fish. And it looked like it was a 511. That's what I thought. But in the rack that it was sat in with other demo boards, they must have just been really big boards. So when I got down to the beach and I'd rented this board and I had a second look at it, it was a 5'6". And I was like, oh, damn it. Like, my smallest board's a 5'7", but it's packed with volume and it's super fat as well. This thing was like, I think it was 25.5 to 26 litres. And I was like, this is going to be embarrassing when I have to go back up and swap the board almost immediately. But literally caught my first wave on it and managed to throw it round, like, which the beauty of a small board. It's really easy to surf once you get on it. And I think there's something about a small board that makes you have to pop up. You don't have a choice. So nice to be in the water, especially warmer water. So nice to be in punchy waves where it's effortless to take off because the wave's so punchy. And the thing I did realise, and maybe forgot about Portugal, and again, chatting to the surf schools out there, they kind of replicated that or told me that verbatim, that probably 95% of the surfers that are there are clueless. Yeah. Now, I'm definitely somebody that likes, I would rather educate than just get aggressive and be that guy, because I just hate people like that. But going back to the cat noises, honestly, I kept finding space to myself, and then I'd get one wave, and then people would be on me like a flock. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And there was people you'd make eye contact with them before they go to take off when you have right away, and they go anyway. Yeah. And I met a guy, he took off, I shouted, he took off anyway. And then I shouted again. He didn't kick off. He didn't know what he was doing. He wiped out, landed on my board. I managed to get away. And I was just like, I could feel myself getting really fucking pissed off. And I kind of had that woosah moment. I was like, mate. And I just kind of explained to him, where he had gone wrong. I maintained his desire to learn, shall we say. But you kind of forget how frustrating that is. And actually, we still don't have it nearly as bad as that. So it was really nice to be in that water. So I know I'm ranting on a wee bit here, but yeah.
I think this episode should be called Excuses because we started on them and we're ending on them. Yeah. So
Well, there you go.
Just realised there's a moth here as well or something, some flying creature. Discount codes we got for you from some of our affiliates. We've got Surface. If you want 10% off anything you order from Surface Wetsuits, use the discount code UK Surf Show 24 and that will get you 10% off from Surface.
And if you want 10% off molded earplugs, which are molded earplugs for your ears, funnily enough, use the discount code UK Surf Show 2024 and that will get you 10% off.
Also, we've got one for the Cookville clothing, which is we've both been wearing. He's got some new stuff out as well. I think he should definitely send us as well, actually. But if you want 10% off from there, use the discount code UK Surf Show 10 and that will get you 10% off our Cookville clothing. And to be honest, their t-shirts and hoodies that we've had, really good quality. Really, really like them.
And if you want to get 10% off body fat, go for a fucking run. No, actually scrap that because we don't get any money back from that, do we? So that's rubbish. But so shout us out with your questions, with these sort of things that we spoke about, your guilty pleasures, tips of the day. We've got one for surf schools and we want surf schools to tell us the telltale signs of a newbie surfer or somebody that thinks they're much better than they are. That person that turns up specifically saying, I want to rent a 5'6". Have you ever surfed before? No. That sort of stuff.
As we say, send us some on Instagram, send us on to our email, uksurfshow@gmail.com. You can text Mitch on 079. Your arse went a little bit then, didn't you?
It didn't. No, I laughed because you started it in O. It's a 0. Right. It's not an O. Why do we use letters and that? The grammar police pick me up for everything, but they're happy to use an O. It's a 0. Okay? 0.
Anyway.
0.
So we go now. We got. I think there was other stuff we had to talk about, but I've forgotten it and missed it. But as we say, we were going to talk about the previous ones from the Northeast that have been on, but you've listened to them because you all listen to every single episode. And thank you very much. And don't forget, go over to Buy Me Coffee. We're on there. Someone bought us some coffees. Someone bought us 3 coffees the other day on there. Really nice person. Thank you for that.
Oh, well done.
So
very nice.
Yeah, it's really helped support the show.
I have been asked to MC a Red Bull gig. Let's just finish on that and leave it right there.
Is it the F1?
No. Imagine. Fucking no. There goes fast spinny crash. Oh my god, he's in flames.
Nice. Well, look forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your MC name?
Chalk Ice.
MC Peace Out.
Chalk Ice.
Yeah. Right then.
Toodles.
See you later.